Kia ora, I hope you're enjoying some of the great content on the Doc Edge website. Now, recently, we had a commemoration of 9/11 in association with the US Embassy here in New Zealand. And sadly, due to technical issues, one of the representatives of the Fire Department of New York, John Buckheit, was unable to join us for the webinar. But in a preliminary chat before the webinar started, he had some amazing things to say. Here's some of them.
And that was so powerful, hearing the names recited like that, and in such solemnity. And you're struck over time how many lives and communities and families were lost. And I had to look it up again, but it was 343. Is that right, John? Firefighters that lost their lives in the towers?
Well, yes. And then, of course, now we're considering all the cancer-related subsequent deaths. But yeah, 343, yeah.
Yeah.
John, how many is that from I think it's over 200, isn't it? The subsequent deaths.
Oh yeah, it's staggering to look, because in headquarters there's a wall that's all of our line of duty deaths, and there's space for more. And then there's a separate wall with the 9/11 illness category, and there's space for more as well. So that's rather sobering. And not to get too deep into it, but a couple of weeks after the attack, I was a lieutenant, and I was given charge of the company I was in, because my captain said, I'm going to the site and you have the company. And we were asked to write our exposure report. So I wrote, yeah, it was smoky and it was bad and we breathed some bad stuff. My chauffeur wrote, I was exposed to radionuclides, and really, I thought, oh, this is absurd. This is wacky. Like, what are you writing? But he was actually correct. It was really pretty bad due to a lot of the components that made up that building, and then vaporized and were inhaled. So it's really pretty. I wish we had known. Maybe we could have done something a little better. But it is, we're getting some really strange cancers, and we've taken some broad steps to, improve that. And the fire service in general, I know when I went through, the dirtier your gear was, that was like the better a firefighter you were. Because look at all the fires I've gone to. And now it's like, no. Get rid of that, clean it, get it away from you. My kids used to say, oh, you smell like a hot dog, because I would come home, it would be coming out of your hair and the oil in your skin, even though you showered already, but it's proven to be not good at all for us. So, we're learning slowly. Yeah. We're not the brightest, we're the bravest, not the brightest. So.
John, has the technology of firefighting advanced much in the last 20 years, especially in New York?
Oh, incredible, the difference. I just got solicited by Fire Engineering, which is a major, trade publication here in the States. And they said, what has changed in the last, most profoundly since 9/11? And it is a technological world now. I mean, when I came on, we had the specialist company Hazmat One. They had meters, they had detectors. They were trained in that. Now, almost every fire company in New York City has some specialty and some special equipment, be it ventilation groups for moving carbon monoxide, moving smoke in difficult buildings, large buildings, or detect all types of detection and everything. It's gotten completely scientific. It's an amazing difference. What we have been doing lately, which is pretty interesting, is the use of drones to get a visual overlay of the fire scene or the emergency scene. And when I first heard that, I mean, I'm an ordinary human being. I was like, oh, really? Like, they're kidding. But it's proven to be pretty effective and actually have some pretty, good results. We've seen teams that were at risk on large rooftops that didn't get the, evacuate message. I had an incident where a group was trapped at the beach on a jetty and people were looking for them and everything, and it seemed too risky to me. And using that telemetry, I was able to give it, order to, suspend that operation and so forth. So it really is pretty good stuff. And it's at the beginning of it right now. So the technology, we're just struggling to keep up with the rest of the world. So we're harnessing now, we have electronic control board, which is tied into transmissions that firefighters make on their handy-talkie. We can ID who said it. We can get an idea where they're operating, all kinds of things. We have building information cards. We have electric building information cards, which is pretty interesting, where you can look in detail at what is applicable to the fire service about a building. It's exits, it's elevators, it's standpipes, it's sprinklers, all that stuff. We can pull it up on these large and complex buildings and try and quickly get a handle of the battlefield. Whereas in the old days, you either knew the building intimately because you'd been there a bunch of times, or you had studied it, or you didn't. And you had to make up for that, during the fire operation, which was difficult to do. So the whole thing is kind of evolving as the world's getting more complex. And I think that's really, really important, as these cities get bigger and bigger and more difficult to really understand. But what do we have? The XO of the chief of department has joined us, so he could probably tell you more than me. If you look at those photos of all those guys that died on 9/11, many of them have this like really broad smile, and it's like a secret smile because they have the best job. They know it, Some of them, the photos of this or that, but many of them are like, yeah, I'm in the cat seat. It's all good. It's a great, great life. There's so many, like looking at those photos, it brings back, there's so many entwining relationships. It's like a Dickens novel. There's people we went to Proby school with. There's people who mentored us. There's two guys who actually saved my life who died on 9/11. Without them, I would not be here for sure. And then there's people that, they were just bright kids and they were just starting out, and like we know the whole story. It's a big department, but it's kind of small too, So it really is amazing to look at those pictures.
But you spent most of your career in Brooklyn, so yeah, it is small. If you go to Manhattan more, you realize how big the department is.
Duly noted.